Hello and welcome to the Gooner Ramble podcast. Coming up on today's discussion, we'll be looking back at the 0-0 draw at Sunderland Stadium of Light and how do we change the dynamic and emphasis of our stuttering attack. All that and the listeners' questions are coming up today, and joining me to discuss those topics are regular panelist Clive. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yep, I'm fine. Buzzing after that exciting game.
Wasn't it? Wasn't it just? And also, he needs no introduction, but I'll introduce him myself. Very happy to finally have with us Hugh Wizzy from 90 More. How you doing, mate? Thanks for coming on.
I'm very well, mate. Good to be on, finally, to have it on.
As I was saying before the pod, before the recording, like you're just about there in the realms of sanity and humanity, aren't you? Kind of like you're hanging on.
They've got a way of playing with your emotions, this team, you know. And I think a lot of us, the final straw is either there or it's very close by, or it's, for a lot of people, it's been there for a while. But yeah, didn't do themselves any favours today, did they?
Not at all. And let's start by that. I think I've heard today that finally, mathematically, we are out of the title race. I mean, it's been on the life support machine since the 28th of February for me, but I think finally now with Leicester winning 4-0 and whatnot, we can put that to bed. I don't need to go through the numbers today. We all saw the numbers. We out-possessioned them. We had more passes and then we had more shots than them, so on and so forth. However, we nearly ended up losing the game. Clive, I want to start with you. Give me your brief assessment of the game and the key moments for you.
You always say brief. This is what he does to you, try and keep me down at time. But I just ignore him, right, and just start rattling. So like any fan, right, game comes up, I'm ready to go. I'm almost forgotten all the previous misdemeanors, and I sort of fancy us, right? And so when the team was named, I thought, Giroud's playing. I don't like slow Arsenal. I don't like that. When he plays, I think we slow down. And I thought Welbeck would play, and I just thought that was obvious. He rested him in the week. I thought that's obvious, but of course he didn't play. So that means we're now waiting for Giroud, who hasn't scored in 19 of his last 20 games, and we're relying on him to win us the game. So the game started, and we started bright, and the Iwobi started really bright. And I thought he may get rested actually, because I thought he flattened out a bit against West Brom, but he started very, very well. And we do our normal thing. We pass. And you know what? I always look at influence when I look at numbers in the game. And Arsenal had the top 22 passing combinations. They had them all. All right. So, I got to go for some numbers, Giles, because I think you got to hear it, right? 83% completed passes, 70% possession, 54% territory, 16 chances created. Guess how many big chances created? 0. And that sums us up, right? That sums us up. We're all promise, invention, beautiful patterns. But when it comes to the crunch, the money moment, we're nowhere to be seen, right? And so today was just a repeat of so many other days, right? And there's no point in being clever. And I have nothing super clever to say, because we've all been it 1,000 times. We've all been through it, right? And it's just a style of football and a lack of execution that's becoming incredibly beautiful to watch at times. But how can something so beautiful, when it's being created, become almost boring? And that's where we are.
Hugh, Clive said amongst that piece that Giroud inexplicably started ahead of Welbeck today. He started ahead of Welbeck on Thursday, which I suppose you could understand. He started ahead of Welbeck. Did he start ahead of Welbeck and Crystal Palace? I can't remember, but why would you start? I mean, I know that Ramsey, Giroud, and Alexis Sanchez have had good recent records against Sunderland, but surely, I mean, the man's not scored for nearly 800 minutes now. He's not scored for the last 13, 14 Premier League games. Why? When you saw it, what did you think? I mean, what did you think Wenger's thinking was?
Yeah, I tried to my best to be neutral, especially on Twitter, so that people can, use other people's, angst or whatnot to get off just because I do my thing afterwards. And, I've only just done the video and I'm not going to lie, I haven't calmed down completely, mate. I'm a little bit
raw.
Yeah, because I'll be honest with you, this idea of starting Giroud in today's game, to me, even me, I've got a poxy little FA youth badge, right? I can tell that he's made a mistake immediately. And it's almost like it's a faith thing or a trust thing or he's a friend or something. It's just confusing. You've got a team in Sunderland who obviously need points as much as we do, right? So as much as they're going to be sitting back, they're definitely going to be looking to come at us a little bit. There are going to be holes to pick. And this guy Giroud, he's built for us. I've said in my video, he's like a wall. It's like when they're going to sit back and they're going to pump, say, 6, 7 people in their box even, we're going to be pushing forward and we can use him to bounce off and it can work. But unfortunately, a lot of the time where we consider him to be, or maybe Wenger considers him to be a guy who's great at holding up the ball and helping the guys perhaps in the transition or perhaps even in that final third with the tiki-taka stuff with the little flicks. What's actually happening is he's exposing himself as a bumbling idiot and he's falling over his own feet and he's getting angry at the wrong things and all his energy's going in the wrong place. And you can tell this is obviously on his mind. It's a massive drought. 1 goal in 20 games. You're having a laugh, mate. You're at Arsenal Football Club with Mesut Ozil behind you. It's a disgrace, right? I'm sorry. It's an absolute travesty that a striker at this, I'll be honest, mate, I cannot understand how Wenger has left. It's almost like he's left his legacy in his hands. And it would be a crying shame if, he's actually put his faith in this guy for the whole time when, from the very fucking first game, so excuse my language, from the very first game when he tried that 40-yard chip against Stoke, I think it was plainly obvious that he was out of his fucking depth. I've done it again.
It's all right. It's just all right. You go ahead.
Fact of the matter is, not fact of the matter is, in my opinion, I should say, we bought Giroud in a time where there were perhaps still some kind of financial restriction. It wasn't quite as free as it could have been, or it was in the next year. And he was kind of, at least I thought, he was kind of filling a gap with Podolski. Now, we've lost that guy. We've relied on this guy so heavily. And hearing Wenger say things like he didn't actually want to buy Welbeck, it really confuses me because we obviously haven't shown the willingness to go all out to get the guy who is meant to replace Giroud, because Giroud is not the guy. We've now proven that. I have to say I gave him the benefit of the doubt, and at the beginning of the season I really thought to myself, you know what, I'm going to back this guy fully because he seems to be, statistically at least, like a wine, like a fine wine. He's maturing. Every time he's getting a couple more goals here, a couple more assists here. He's definitely a useful addition. He's certainly a good squad player for Arsenal. He is not the starting man. He is not the main man. He is not going to get you. Look, wherever it winds me the fuck up, mate. It really does. It's also, and this is more devastating, it's also a continuation of a misplaced of trust with regards to Mesut Ozil, in my opinion, because we're wasting one of the best footballers in the world. We're making him look like a mug. And you could hear him today, literally by the microphone, close to the goal, screaming for fuck's sake, because he's just sick of it. He's absolutely sick of it. And I'm not surprised that there are, younger kids who haven't experienced what most of us have. I'd assume all of us on this have. Seeing Arsenal at the best, right? Playing that flowing, fast, furious football that the whole world tuned into, that it flicked the fucking world onto us, right? And it's painful to see us become this, what I consider to be almost a pure PLC movement now, and where we all see this as being a failure. I'm afraid to tell you that this season so far, as long as it may not even go that way where we're going, but so far so good. They're actually fulfilling all their expectations and all their goals. And I wouldn't be surprised if Wenger does get a renewal, or he's offered a renewal, because they're making these guys fucking they're getting new yachts every month. They're milking the fucking place. And if they don't show the right, backing, if they don't force the guy to go in this summer, he's got to walk now. If they're not going to, if he's not serious about finishing this off on a high, it's better for everyone. We need fresh things. We need fresh ideas. You at least need to get a director of football in. We need serious new coaches, new fitness plans, the whole fucking shebang. Because what we're dealing with right now is just repetition, monotony, and this attitude that's around the players. When I see fucking Theo Walcott on that sideline, in that bench, under that towel, in that fucking big puffer jacket, on all that money, and he's offering us bloody nothing when he comes on. I'm sorry. There's too many of them like that as well. Yeah.
Welcome to the pod.
It's good to be here. No, you know what? It's been a long time coming. I have said that I'll come on for a long time.
Okay. I just want to, without wanting to burn him on the stake, I just want to add one more thing to what you just said. He had 2 chances, didn't get 1 on target today. Alexis Sanchez had 5 chances, had 2 on target. Iwobi had 4, 1 on target. Mertesacker had 2 chances and 1 on target. The first half we had 12 shots, 6 on target. Manoni, I think, made 2 double saves in that later on in the first half. The first half, majority of it for me, especially the early part of it, I thought we would look good. We were buzzing. We were, the passes were flicking around. I thought Iwobi was central to what was good, that we would, all the good stuff that we were doing going forward. He was connecting with the midfield, both Ramsey and El Nene, and he was connecting with Ozil and Sanchez. But yet we couldn't seem to put it away. And second half, you could tell that, Sam Allardyce must have got into his players at half-time and said, don't back off them, get into them, get nearer to them, start to impose yourself on it. And then we just seemed to stall, wilt. I'm not sure. We were lucky to escape with a point, don't you think, Clive?
Yeah, we were, right? And the gap in quality was there. But where there's just a massive mental issue around our conviction in the last third. And, that today was the 8th time we haven't scored this season. I mean, this is Arsenal, right? We may not have always been in Wenger times the tightest team defensively, but going forward and scoring goals, well, that's our brand, isn't it? That's how we play. And, we're just not scoring enough goals, and goals mask a lot of sins, right? And, again, we started the game bright, but we don't score early enough. And so we encourage people to have a go at us. We encourage people to have us scalp. In Wenger selections, they don't really help, right? So we've had a little spike in form recently when we found a couple of partnerships. We found the Iwobi-Welbeck partnership, and we found the Coquelin-El Neni partnership. So what does he do the last couple of games? He breaks that, right? So maybe for the home game, I get it. You're going Thursday to Sunday. Well, that's Giroud at home when the teams are close to their box. I can understand it up to a point. But away from home, when you need to speed up, you need to have the threat of the break. You need to have your partnerships in place that work. You can't carry the players that we've been carrying for many years. And I don't really care what name's on the back of the shirt. We all know the ones that have not been doing it for a while. We all know the ones that are comfortable. We've got to be honest with ourselves and honest and say even some of our favourites have really let us down. And he's broke the 2 partnerships up, and guess what? We get the Swansea Arsenal, right? We get the Man United away Arsenal. That's what we get. And so why are we expecting anything different? And, again, I keep saying it's not about being clever. It's just about saying what you see. And what we're seeing at the moment is the dying embers of a season that I can't wait to finish.
It's interesting. It's unbelievable because the last 2 games. The Crystal Palace game. We came up proper. Right at the end, deep into the second half. The Thursday's game, we only won 2-0. But people were. I remember listening to the pod that the guys did on Thursday, and they were all saying, we expect 3-1, 4-1, 3-0, or whatever. At least a 2 clear goal advantage. And I was concerned because I thought to myself, we're not playing West Brom or Crystal Palace, who had nothing riding on the game. They had nothing to fight for. We're playing Sunderland, who are fighting for their lives, where every point counts, where they've got, where if we're not on our game, we could come a cropper, and we nearly did. And I just wonder now, since how many weeks ago, since the title race has effectively been over, Do you think the player, as you said, Clive, do you think the players have switched off and just sort of mentally sort of like thought, well, you know, the manager's kind of said it, so, you know, therefore, intrinsically, subconsciously, you don't try as much, you don't put in as much effort, and they're sort of taking their foot off the gas a little bit.
I think we've almost sleepwalked into paralysis, right? That's what I think. The games I just have not recovered from that Swansea Man United week. That was the week for me when Man United had all those injuries. They had 10 people out, wherever it was, and they ended up beating us. And in Swansea, they had 3 games in like 6 days, and they took 7 players out that night to rest them for a game at the weekend. And we managed to find a way to lose that game. From that moment, I'm afraid they lost a lot of people, or a lot more people than they previously had done. And the trust has been broken. And I don't think the club realise how serious this really is, because it's not going away. We've got to it. And now so we can choose what we want to follow. We know what we want to see. And it's not just the people that we all know that are really vicious towards the manager and the club. It's spreading to sensible, smart people that recognise we are ready for renewal, ready for change. And the players, they're not stupid neither. They start to protect their legs. They start to protect their bodies. They've got European Championships coming up. Ozil's dropped off a little bit. Ramsey's preparing himself for this Wales once-in-a-lifetime tournament. I'm not sure what Theo's waiting for. He must have a summer holiday book because he's not going anywhere, right? So, and they start to protect their bodies and do just enough to get that position. But if we're not careful, we're not going to get that position. And all their bonuses are going to go out the roof, right? So, and there's lots of stuff today saying maybe if we come 5th, that'll be good. Well, I don't sign up for that, right? I like the sporting competition, the Champions League. I like to have that. I feel quite proud that we're a Champions League club. But something needs to happen, and I'm not sure what the trigger's going to be for change, but it's something that has to, right? Because we're becoming boring to talk about, write about. We're just becoming boring.
And watch, yeah.
And watch, yeah.
Yeah.
And watch.
Hugh, coming back to you, we've got Norwich coming up next week. That's another big game for them. Are you concerned now that, with the Norwich game coming and how we play today, the mindset of the players, the fact that Man United have got a game in hand, we're 4th at the moment, if we don't get something out of Norwich and Man United win their game in hand and then we go to Man City needing points, we could well drop out of the top 4.
Yeah, it's difficult not to be concerned, especially when, like you said, everyone's fighting for their lives right now. And I think that's one of the things that people underestimated going into this game. Obviously, how much they're up for it, how much experience Sam Allardyce has got in this kind of thing. They've got a couple of tasty players as well, like that Kone guy, and Kazri looks decent. And also, there's this mentality thing that you were just talking about there, Clive. I really think that something has spread in the club that's not really very healthy. I don't know whether it's the way that the wage structure's set up and maybe they're kind of lackadaisical after a while, getting comfortable, or maybe it's that, say for example, even from the evidence on the pitch. I'm the type of person, when I watch the football, I'm looking for the very small things. I like to analyse the details, look for the things that maybe even you're not trying to pick up. You're not, maybe carry on watching the game and there's another thing going on here with another guy, a follower guy. That's why it's great to be at the game, and you do see a lot there and you miss a lot there as well, because you've got the power of the replay and being able to watch a specific player or whatnot. Even when you're on the sidelines, it's fantastic being that close up as well. But I'd say, I think from what I can see, that it's not only Giroud that's lost faith in himself, but the players lost faith in him. Like, Hector Bellerin's taking it upon himself to be a striker. Like, Mesut Ozil's actually shooting. And as much as I want him to shoot, it's just, that's kind of not in his vocabulary. So it's almost like we're forcing these players into doing things that they're not comfortable with. And then there's that. And then I think, say for the last 3, 4, maybe even 5 games we've been playing, defensively we've actually been quite solid for the most part. And it's literally in the final third that we're struggling. And it's simply a case of they keep trying to do the same type of thing, keep trying to force this magic to happen out of Olivier or something to, and it's not happening. So they're taking it upon themselves. And as a result, we're all haphazard and we're all over the place. You've got Ramsey straying too far forward. You've got El Neni over. I'm sorry, but El Neni, I don't even know how he's been unbelievable. He's been unbelievable. He's got an unbelievable engine. And it's another, mystery to me how that combination that you were talking about there of like Ramsey, of Coquelin and El Neni, you want to break that up. And having Sin say the pace, the electrifying pace of us in the transition with Özil, with Iwobi, with Sanchez and Welbeck, and now you want to break that up. I'm very confused. I'm very, very, very confused. So moving on to the Norwich game, like you were talking about, it's at home, which is where we're struggling. So it's difficult not to be worried. I'm more worried about the City game, I'll be honest, because this is actually happening right now. We're actually struggling in the race for fourth. We've gone from being 2 points on the leaders and that everyone going crazy and celebrating like we won the title with that last minute header to, just total capitulation.
Sitting on the precipice, aren't we? We're standing on the precipice here.
We are. And, for a lot of people, I actually hear a lot of people saying that it's not a bad thing because change, maybe it will force the change. Whatever change that is, whatever level of we need change you are on, you're definitely on the ladder right now. Whether it's, you want a new coach or you want a new physio, you want a new manager, you want the board out, you want the players gone. Listen, mate, they want us if you told a few fans, listen, we can go back to Highbury and we can fucking sell all the players and change the manager, they do it in a flash. All right. However, we have built a platform to really become something special. And that's the reason why I'm not going to go overboard with the mad disrespect that Arsene Wenger does get. I see people telling him effing blind and off and this, that, the other, right in front of his face. Like, I get the frustration. I really do. And there's ways to do it, right? And there's definitely something that needs to be done. He, in my opinion, needs a great amount of help. He's doing way too much. And as a result, it's costing us. And perhaps there is more to that than we know, and perhaps there isn't. Perhaps it really is like a dictatorship. I don't even really know what I believe anymore now, because me personally, I'm someone that's really like, I really respect him. Like he's like an icon to me. He's someone that is definitely underappreciated. And I saw a tweet that you put out the other day. It was like, well, that someone, but it wasn't you. Sorry, it was someone put out this tweet. Right? It was like, I bet if anyone who's like, strongly Wenger out, spent 10 minutes with the guy, they'd warm to him. And I'm lucky enough to have not interviewed him, I've asked him a few questions and I've spoken to him for 5 minutes. But to me, it's like, that was a mad 5 minutes. And he does have an effect on you. But what I'm now seeing is like, I don't want that effect to be like rose tinted glasses type thing, And the truth of the matter is that I love the club more than I love the man. I loved the club before I'd ever heard of Arsene Wenger. And I remember when he first came, people were like, what the fuck is this? Who the fuck is this guy? And just the same way we've had faith then and stepped into the unknown, and it did work out magnificently. There's no denying that. It might well be time to do the same thing now. And if it isn't now, then like I've said before in my videos, make sure you go and check them out, youtube.com/Hugh Wizzy. If he is going to stay on and see out his contract, you better go big, mate. You better bring it home for us. Because me personally, I'll back him if he goes big. No doubt about it. I'm fully behind him if he goes big. But if they don't show I'm not talking about just signing big players or spending loads of money as well. This is a simpleton's argument. I'm talking about you need to show full, not full cooperation. It sounds like I'm holding him hostage. It's like, we need to have a structured plan of like the change. And we need evidence of that because this isn't sufficient. It really isn't.
Clive, Hugh just touched on change. I mean, we've spoke about change quite a lot in our podcasts and what it means and so on and so forth. I mean, do you agree with what Hugh says? If Wenger goes big, whether it's in the transfer market, changing the structure, changing the personnel behind the scenes or whatever, are you backing him?
You've heard my thoughts before, right? About the hierarchy issue at Arsenal, right? And my issue is that Wenger seems to be They're the only man. There's like a key man dependency on him. And my worry is no one can tell him that he's wearing short trousers and short trousers are out. Do you know what I mean? No, who's going to tell him that, right? You don't wear white socks anymore, mate. You don't do that, right? So, who's going to tell him? No one's going to tell him because the guys on the board, they dress like clowns. Do you see what I mean? So there's no one there to tell him that.
Sorry, Claude. Yeah, sorry, Claude. Sorry, Clive. Can I just interrupt you? I know it's the height of ignorance, but let me just say something then, right? Let me tell you what's the wake up call to Arsenal. The fucking league table. Have a look. We've missed out on the greatest opportunity in the last decade. Leicester City. How have we allowed that to happen? I'm sorry, I don't care what side of the fence you're on. That's not on. You've really made big mistakes there. Whether it's in the transfer market, in the tactical thing, in your trust in the players, in this, whatever it is, it's gone wrong. And that, I'm sorry, is unacceptable now. That is unacceptable because for all this time we've had this, we build into this, we get into this. I remember when they were promising us £10 tickets for the new stadium.
Yeah.
Come on now, people. They're literally at the point where locals have been forced out. They're sick and tired of the same repetition every fucking year. And now you've had the best opportunity. And to be quite honest, like I said, if you can't see that, we need serious changes at the club, whether that's him or the players or whatever it is, by that league table. Then nothing's going to shock him like that. Tottenham are fucking finishing ahead of us. It's not on.
And they deserve to, right? They do deserve to this year.
Fully.
Look at their numbers. You can't deny it. They deserve to. And you did bring out one word there, and I think it was really interesting. You said, we've got a great platform here. And that's what he did, right? He had provided his platform. But you know what? If you don't build on top of a platform timely enough, you risk that platform becoming shaky. And that's exactly where we are. We should have layered on top of what we did 3 years ago. We took the pain when no one else wanted to take it to go through the stadium build. And there's lots of promises. And we got to 2014 and he got more money coming through the commercial deals. He's won 2 FA Cups. Maybe after the first one, some people thought, I wonder if he'll go. Then you need to forward plan. And we are stagnating. And the platform is at risk because the Premiership deal now has completely taken away our advantage. The Champions League is not the biggest carrot that it used to be, right? And then you got West Ham round the corner with their 15 quid a week stadium, right? And we're spending still 18 million a year on interest. So it's just absolutely, the gaps are closing. And when you're watching Arsenal now, there was a time when we had a certain, devastation in our play. There isn't that gap physically anymore. It just isn't there. Everyone can run. Everyone can understand what they're doing. Everyone can do the weights. Everyone has got those ice bars and recovers well. Everyone's got all the data. So you've got to really have something mentally. You've got to have something in your culture. You've got to have a talent edge. And you need a manager that's aggressive to make sure we have the right talent in our team. And I'm afraid he's held on to people for far too long. Last summer was a huge step backwards in building on the platform that he has created. By doing nothing and by no outfield players, what you're saying to the players in the club, that it's okay not to win. You've heard me say this 1,000 times, Giles, but it's okay not to win. You will do it. You are fine by me. That just reeks of comfort. That just reeks of, I'm comfortable with you as individuals, as people. And inside this club, it may be hard to get in, but once you're in, you can spend your life here. And there's too many pensions being paid out of Arsenal. Too many pensions. And that's why our wage bill is 80 million above our North London rivals, right? And so really, culturally, what we're seeing is not great, top to bottom. We've got issues top to bottom. But they can be solved. It's not all broken, and we can build upon it. But I'm not sure we can do it with the same leadership in place. I just don't think we can.
I think El Neni is a great example of, that kind of hunger that is inside a guy who hasn't achieved everything in his career that he wants to yet. And he really kind of bleeds everything that I want to see at Arsenal. I'm not just talking about running around, right?
He was fantastic today. He is.
This is why I've said before. He should be, if not the first, he's one of the first names on the team sheet right now. He has to be. His work ethic's unrivaled. his use of the ball is almost faultless, and a lot of it is in the final third. He's progressive with it. I'm seeing Ramsey is fantastic as well today at times, but I've got to say he's short of the pace. He's passing sideways a lot, and he's at the moment, to me anyway, he's being upstaged by a newcomer.
Yeah.
And if you were
Barcelona and like you come along and you were scouting the two, which one would you take?
There's no question about it.
There's no question, right? There is no debate. None.
It's funny. I literally was looking at him today and thinking, wow, he's actually an upgraded Ramsey.
Yeah.
How's that happened?
You know what question I asked myself is, why did he wait till January to bring him in when he already scouted him since early 2015?
If he is actually supposed to be accountable, that's negligence.
Yeah.
That's pure negligence.
Because it wasn't a last minute buy, was it? I mean, he'd scouted him since early 2015. He'd known about him as early ago as last summer. You know, there was the rumblings about how, Arsenal had scouted this guy and blah, blah. Why didn't he bring him in then?
Giles, this is it. Look, I love the man, right? And I know the man inside out. I've read books on him. I've studied his movements. I can hear him in his voice right now. He's quivering. He knows he's fucked up.
Yeah.
And I've got no doubt, mate. He's a very, very, very intelligent man. He can see what's happening in front of him. He's trusted these guys and they're fucking letting him down. That's what it is. And I'm sorry to say it, but he's mugged himself off by trusting him. And by doing that, he's mugged all of us off by doing, because what choice do we have but to have faith? That's what position he puts us in. And to me, that's why I'm like, I used to like not entertain all the, derogatory or the anti, all that kind of thing. But now, everyone has the right to their opinion. And a lot of the time, it's me that's been closed-minded off. It's me that's not seen the light. And I suggest that to a lot of people. It's not a question of like, being out of order or anything like that. It's literally like, it's plain to see. It's plain to see, and it's from the top to the very top to the very bottom. And we're seeing the results of that on the pitch.
It's hard to take. It really is hard to take. I did want to cover a couple of key incidents, like Jermaine Defoe said after the game that he had a word with Mike Dean about the handball incident. I think Mertesacker's handball, which was unintentional, and apparently Mike Dean said he would have and should have given them a penalty. I don't know what you guys think of that. Do you think the original call was it was too close for him to do anything about it, wasn't it? I mean,
Yeah. I personally don't think that either of them were penalties, but if one of them was, then it was Mertesacker's, not Yedlin's, because admittedly he's kind of crazy with his arm up in the air, but it has come off his leg. It's a total accident. The Mertesacker thing, to me, is too close for that to be an unnatural reaction. It's like, if I go to throw a football in your face, you're going to put your hand up to cover it.
Yeah.
So, to me, then neither of them were penalties.
Okay. Also, after the game, Jamie, I mean, you said it earlier on, Clive. You said that a lot of learned people now are making assessments and judgments about how Arsenal are, and even Jamie Redknapp, which none of us like to agree with. He said the fans have been brainwashing. The top four is okay. Everyone's talking. Go on, Clive.
Well, yeah, up to a point, top four has been okay when we have the money, right? But the last 2-3 years,
I think he's talking about now, yeah.
Yeah, the expectation has changed. And the thing that really concerns me about the whole Wenger situation is, one of the reasons I admired him was his foresight, right? He was always ahead of people. He was always ahead of you because he's more intelligent than most people in football, right? And the way he played football was always ahead of the game. But I think there's been a change in football the last 2-3 years, and I think he's missed it. I think he has. I think he's become more physical. I think it's become athletic in England, and I think he hasn't gone with that. And it's strange because he used to have the most physical, the most athletic teams. And he went away from that, which worked for a period into the top four. But now we need to go again. And we lack legs. We lack movement. We lack agility. We look slow. We look slow in reverse. we've got slow centre back, we've got a slow centre mid, and we've got a slow centre forward. This isn't Arsenal football. You know, that isn't Arsenal football. That's not the football that I grew up with.
Listen, I challenge you guys to go and watch a compilation of Thierry Henry or any of the Arsenal strikers from the 90s. Even, I'm telling you, it's a different kettle of fish, the football we're playing. It is a different pace. These guys they're agile, their balance is incredible. They're doing things that these guys don't even have in their locker. Like physically, they don't have in their locker. It's very frustrating to watch someone when you know that they are not actually helping their own cause, and it's even more frustrating knowing that a guy is putting his faith in it. We're going around in circles here, lads.
Yeah. But the manager should have seen. He should have predicted this. I mean, about 2 years ago, the first time I really noticed it was probably with Sam Allardyce. Actually, he bought like Kouyaté, he bought like Neno Valencia, and he bought these guys at West Ham. And West Ham were a lumpy team with Olan and jumping off Carroll and looping it forward. Then he brought all these runners in, and they got quick. And then we played them, and I'm thinking, crikey, we're hanging on to them. And I'm watching Aaron Ramsey chasing after Kouyaté, and it's just no contest. And this is Aaron Ramsey, everyone's fated. I'm thinking, well, that's not going to work. Doesn't matter what number's on the back of your shirt, mate. That ain't happening. If you can't stay with a brother, you're in trouble, right? So, and that's what's happening all over our pitch. Now, we need to change how we operate and how we buy. And the game is moving on, and we are not playing at the intensity levels that are required to be an elite football club, right? So if you're going to play Arsenal football, tip-tap, sliding down the side, blah, 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 then you need to make sure you've got a centre forward that finishes off, because otherwise you're just not, you're negligent, basically, right? So he's got to decide. I think we've actually lost our playing identity. I really do. I don't know what we are anymore. We flipped from slow Arsenal to fast Arsenal, and I'm not sure which is the real Arsenal. I used to like the Arsenal that used to be devastating, and we're not it.
Yeah, indeed, quite. Okay, that's all for part one. Join us again for part two, where we delve into another aspect of the Arsenal Football Club and also the listeners' questions.